Alright, we're back, folks. Oh, look, that stream was 3 hours on the dot. Alright, we're back. Oh, gross. Y'all don't want to hear all that. Funny business. What?
I was talking for 3 hours.
No. Oh. We're live.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why you're whispering.
I don't know why I'm whispering either.
You weren't whispering before.
I know, I just wasn't sure on what I was doing.
That's alright. I really hate that our controllers are making so many clickety-clack sounds.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's happening.
I think I'm going to switch to another game that doesn't make as much clickety-clack.
Oh no, go ahead. Keep playing what you're playing.
Well, I was wanting to play me some, what's that game I'd like to play that you helped me out with that I was working on for years? Dragon Quest Builder.
There you go.
Pretty surprised that I like that game. Oh, they could definitely do a Dragon Ball Z game like Destiny. Oh.
What was that Dragon Ball Z game that you were playing before?
It's Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. It's an open world like Dragon Ball Z game. It's actually kind of fun. I need to actually start playing that. I forgot about it. It seems like I forget about a lot of games.
Probably, yeah. That has seemed to be the case. Oh no!
Ooh, what happened?
Me not paying attention.
Ah.
Which is the case. It's my ultimate demise most of the time.
So earlier you were talking about Dead by Daylight, and I did mention to you one time that they made a Dragon Ball Z game like in that kind of aspect, where you're running and trying to survive and get away from super villains from Dragon Ball Z.
Well, when was this?
I just about 2 months ago, and I was hoping that it comes to Game Pass. I don't think it has yet. Hopefully it's something that does. But the main thing of the game is that you're trying to survive and get into like a time capsule so you can get away from the super villain.
What's it called? You don't remember?
Dragon Ball Crashers or something like that? I don't know. Let me...
Crashers?
I think that's totally
I think
wrong.
that was really made up.
I think I just made that up.
I think you did too.
This is a question. I'll find out. Let me go grab my phone real quick.
Okay. Ooh, yikes. That was not doing so good with his shield. Yeah, I think we're gonna lose this match.
That game is called Dragon Ball The Breakers.
The Breakers? Well, you said Crashers. That was kind of close.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie.
It's getting close too. Close to no cigar.
They do say that? I've never heard that before in my life.
Well, I guess old school. Very old school.
You know, close but no cigar?
Yeah. Close but no cigar.
Oh, and I just keep dying like a freaking fool. I'm on the struggle bus.
Only 1 minute left.
I don't know how you keep up with this stuff anyway. It look all so complicated.
Oh, I actually got out of that. Typically I don't. It's really hard to get out of stasis. now you're on to Dragon Quest Builders. Is that what you're playing?
Yeah. Hopping back on that.
Oh, I just ran right into that. Kill it! My gosh! Oh look, now they're gonna try to get us again. No! We hit 200, but they hit 201 before we did. No, seriously, Destiny has a problem with
people hacking?
yeah.
Why? That wouldn't be fun to me, to be cheating to win a game. That's not fun at all. Like, I would feel like I was a dirty scum. I want to beat you with my skills, not with, like, cheating. And if I don't have the skills to pay the bills, I don't need to be playing the game, right?
Probably not. And it's real dumb when they stream it. They stream their cheating. And so you can see, like, where they were.
Don't they get, like, caught
banned.
with that
Oh, yeah,
and
for
banned
sure.
and stuff?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
would they be so ignorant?
Isn't that the question always?
Yeah, that is a question. Why are people ignorant?
I do enjoy this this Mayhem though.
Oh, I thought you was talking about Total Mayhem from,
So it's kind of similar. It's similar to Total Mayhem on Overwatch in the sense that you don't get extra health, but you do get your powers back super quick.
Oh, cool. At some point, I need to play
Destiny?
Overwatch again.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I should start trying to play Destiny again, too.
Hmm.
I just felt like such a lose hair.
I think that the problem is that it's kind of a difficult game to get into new.
Yeah, it seems like it's so daunting of a game, you know? I try to get
It's
into
kind of intense to learn, and it's intense to teach.
And the thing that I have an issue with is that all the upgrades and the weapons and stuff all look the same to me. I'm like, that just looked like that other gun that I just saw a few seconds ago, and I know it has higher stats, but it don't look as cool.
Well, and you have to learn what the perks and the mods mean too, because like it's not so straightforward. Like extrovert is a perk. How would you know what that is?
Well, I know it's the opposite of introvert.
But what would it mean as a perk name?
You go out and you do more action and shoot more
Well, that should
instead
be
of defense.
I mean, maybe you are more thoughtful than me. I don't know what it means. I would have to look it up.
Oh,
Which it'll tell you. But like, it's just a lot to learn it, you know?
I understand that. It seems very daunting whenever
Oh, what a waste of my super there. I think that maybe the buttons aren't making quite as much noise now. I hope not, anyway.
Well, that's good. I guess I'm not mashing as much as I was.
I think it was me. Oh god, why'd I do that? I just wasted that. Dumb. It would be fun for you to get back into Overwatch. Remember when we played that all the time together?
Yeah, I do. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
I can keep you alive pretty well. I think I'm pretty decent with Mercy.
I was not that great with Doomfist, but I like the character so much.
Who did you like better, Doomfist or Baptiste? Because I know those were your two.
I did like Doomfist the best. Well, I was terrible. Just terrible with Doomfist.
Do you think you were terrible with Baptiste?
I thought I was okay. Actually, I was terrible with Baptiste.
Did you heal much?
I did. I tried to, but then I would get myself killed.
Oh no. You probably didn't have a second healer keeping you alive.
No.
See, what I've found as being a Mercy main is keeping the other healer alive. Mm-hmm. Like if the because sometimes the healers think that they don't really need to heal each other, but that is like super far from the truth, because if you keep the other healer alive, obviously you're both gonna, they're gonna be able to do more healing instead of, and you can kind of split the heals across. Like I try to keep, Zenyatta's hard to keep alive, but I try to keep him alive, and some Zenyatas are super smart, and they'll keep their healing on Mercy, so that she dies less frequently, and then since she does the most healing out of anybody, it's best to keep her alive as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so, but some healers just won't heal Mercy for whatever reason.
And I have to say, I did like Zenyatta some too.
He is fun.
He was an interesting character to play with. He's good with, he had good attack, but, his healing was alright too.
Yeah, he's fun. I like him in the Halloween stuff. Pretty cool.
Yeah, the Halloween.
Frank and Junkenstein's.
Yeah, that was.
You haven't played any of Overwatch 2 though.
No, I haven't.
Do you even have it installed anymore?
I don't think I
Well, Overwatch 1 became Overwatch 2.
So if I put in my Overwatch 1 game, I have to just get a bunch of upgrades to it, right?
Do you have it on disc?
Yes.
So it's digital now.
Oh.
So it would just like work that way.
And I forgot. Will I keep all my stuff that I bought in the first game?
Yes.
Okay.
But you're gonna probably have to. I think that. Pretty sure that you have to attach your account in some way to get it all to carry over or patch it or something. Because I remember mine took a while to update it. Oh no. Well, we actually won, no thanks to me. I was pretty bad. I didn't do so well. That's alright. So have you gotten any spoilers of Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I have not. The
Good.
only thing that I've seen was that it has King in it.
I thought everybody knew that anyway.
Yeah, that's just the thing you know. But other than that, no, I haven't seen any spoilers. I've been keeping away from it. I'm pretty interested in it since it does have King the Conqueror. He is like one of the Avengers, like bigger baddies, He's not a particular Avengers bad guy. He's like an Avengers bad guy, Like, he's not like Doctor Doom, who's like the Fantastic Four's bad guy that, other characters use.
He's more like a Thanos?
Yeah, he's more like a Thanos where everybody's like, oh, look, it's King the Conqueror. He's not good.
I liked him in Loki.
Yeah. He was a good character in Loki. He's the more fun-loving one. I like the more darker, angry King the Conqueror.
Yeah, he was kind of goofy, eh?
Mm-hmm. But there's all kinds of different King the Conquerors. different one each time they run into him. He's like a different guy, but he's still the same guy. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
He just has like different personalities.
Different multiverse versions of him, like different versions of him.
But
throughout
he's the
time.
same entity?
Same person.
Wow, that is really confusing.
Yeah, and he's actually a person. Just a normal human that has so far into the future, has so much technology that he's like, he made himself like a god, pretty much. And he controls time.
Oh, wow.
So once he learned how to get control of time, he just going in the future and go to the past and stuff and jack things up so that things go his way. And the Avengers are always there trying to prevent him from doing what he wants to do.
So then my next question is going to be this, because I know that me and you kind of agree on this type of situation where it seems like nowadays, like, every kind of villain is almost like has a sob story.
Yeah.
Like, every villain seems to be like, oh, well, this is why they're bad and this is why it makes sense. And, like, no, that, it's not even like that. It's like, okay, this is why it's justified in a way. Or, like, let's feel bad for this villain instead of, like, oh, they're just bad all around bad. Like, Thanos, right? Would you say that Thanos had, like, a sob story? That like, made it make sense?
In the original comics, they kind of gave him a sob story or whatever, but it still never made sense on why he became
He's just
crazy.
Bad, right? He's just mean.
Crazy and mean, yeah. He became obsessed with the entity known as death.
Right. But whereas in comparison, what I'm thinking about is these, like, new versions of villains, like the Taskmaster situation in Black Widow.
Okay. We gotta talk about that.
Okay, we'll talk about it after I ask this question then.
Okay.
Do you think that there's a reason for them to do that with Kang? Do you think that that will be something that they do with him? Or do you think he's just going to be, like, a cool villain to hate?
I think they're going to give him some kind of sob story.
Or, like, a villain to love.
I think they're going to give him some kind of sob story instead of just making him just a straight up, like, bad villain. A fun villain that you're like, ooh, I love not liking this villain because he's a good villain, you know? They're going to try to give him some type of, I feel they're going to give him some kind of sob story. Kind of like, you know, they do with, like, they've never done it with, they kind of tried to do it with Joker. With the Joker movie, they kind of gave him like
that was different.
That was, but it was
that
very...
felt very different to me.
Yeah, but you did feel bad about, like, how... Like, he didn't get the help that he needed, and he became what he became because the system failed.
Correct. Yeah. So with Kang, though, if you think that they're going to do that, is that just based off of you thinking because that's what they do now? Or is that because you know something from the comics that would make you believe that?
I think that's what they're going to do now. There's been multiple Kangs in multiple universes, and some may have had, like, weird, like, sad stories, but others are just selfish. Just wants to rule everything. And, you know, I just want sometimes them to just get back to a person just wanting to, hey, I think that I'm better than everybody.
Sometimes
and I want to rule.
There's no reason for the the villainous, right?
Yeah, he just wants to rule. Like, you know, in anime, their villains, some of their villains do not have this sad backstory or whatever. This one villain, his whole thing was that his father was like a really giving person, and they were really like a rich family, and he hated that his father was so nice and so kind and trying to give his wealth away, and then the people turned against him and like put him and his brother on like a stake and stuff. And he was able to escape, and his father was still there, and he's like, his father was still chained up, and he's like, escape, try to live your life. And he picked up a rock and threw it at his father's head and thought he was stupid for trying to appease his people instead of putting them all in their place with their money. And he was so upset that he didn't use his money to get better and do like all kinds of wonderful things for them. And
Like for their own family?
Yeah, for their own family. He hated the whole idea of helping these poor people and like trying to do better for society. He didn't care about it, and that's his whole backstory. He was willing to kill his own brother for it.
And what was this?
Yeah, Wonderful.
Oh, I've heard that.
And he was like one of the main villains in this one storyline where he gained the power to control people, and he controlled this nice king to kill a bunch of his people, and then his people hated him, and then they thought of him as like this wonderful person, and he turned people to toys. He was just a terrible villain.
Turn them to toys.
He had people that worked for him that had the ability to turn people into dolls.
Ew, that's a very American Horror Story.
And different type of toys, and they would have to live their lives as toys, and they couldn't remember who they were. So these kids were growing up without fathers and mothers because they got turned into toys, and then the toys would like sometimes try to find their kids, and the kids were like, "Oh, this stupid walking toy," and they just kick them to the side and stuff like that. And it's just really,
wow.
they made
This
a really
sounds
sad
really
story.
intense.
Yeah, it was really, when you went, One Piece looks ridiculous and silly, but when you get down to some of the things that they were saying, it was really terrible. Like these parents and fathers and mothers and even kids were changed into these toys because they opposed the king, and they wiped their memories, and then they were just walking around as a country with like toys. And it's like, oh, this is the country with living toys, and no one knew that these actual toys were people, so they just would kick them to the side sometimes. It's like they're not really alive, and they would like destroy these toys, break their arms and stuff, and then later on they all found out, like when the main characters released them from their curse or whatever, people start to find out and remember that that's my father, that's my mother that I was kicking around and being terrible to. Yeah.
This is like Island of Misfit Toys meets like American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Meets like just craziness.
And this one of the main character girls, her father was this little toy soldier who's very similar to like the one that fights the rat and what do you call it? The Rat King.
Oh, Nutcracker.
Yeah, he was like a Nutcracker toy, and he was always protecting this little girl, and she like loved him, but she didn't know who her father was. And it turns out that he's been protecting her the whole time, and he had this one leg, and he was her father, and he was protecting her, and she finally, whenever that curse was lifted, she remembered that her father was there and tried to protect her and her mother. They killed their mom, and he was trying to protect them, and they had him chained up, and to protect him, he was trying to help them, so he cut off his own leg so that he could get away. And that's why he is always missing patches of the leg. It's like a big, it's a pretty fun story.
So let's get back to
Oh, yeah,
the
sorry.
Taskmaster situation.
Now,
Now that you said that you wanted to talk about that.
I don't know why they ruined the Taskmaster character. Because what Taskmaster is, he's one of Captain
Okay,
America.
now let's go back just a little bit. When you say ruin them from the Black Widow movie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, in the comics, Taskmaster is like, he's like a big villain.
Mm-hmm.
He is like, his character, he's known...
Emphasis on
He emphasis on he because he's a man. He's a man in the Marvel comics, and he has the ability to like look at somebody and see whatever technique they use, he can emulate it because he has muscle memory, like his
to the extreme.
To the extreme, and he can do whatever someone else does. So he is one of Captain America's villains.
Right.
And he watched Captain America fight and stuff, and then he is able to do everything that Captain America could do. And he has like all the abilities Captain America has, or anyone else he watches fight. He can record them, and he can mimic their movements and do everything they do. And he's very athletic, very strong, and he uses this power to train villains. So he's like a villain trainer, and he goes around training different villains. And he does things for odd jobs, you know, he's like a mercenary, but for bad guys. And so that's the character of Taskmaster. He's never controlled by anybody. No one controls the Taskmaster. He's controlling other people. Like, having some weird old guy controlling Taskmaster is ridiculous. And then...
And wasn't that supposed to be her dad?
I
thought it was her dad.
I thought it was something. No, I think the dad wasn't he the Red Guardian?
No.
Oh yes, it was her. Yeah, you're
wasn't
right.
it the dad? Her dad is the guy that was controlling all the widows.
Yeah, and was controlling her as well. And that didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense at all. And also the power that they had digital, where it was like a computer that was like analyzing people's techniques, and then she would do the same thing. That's not how it worked. It was like a mutant ability, or like a superpower that he already had, that he was either born with, or like he was born with that ability.
Oh. So he was born that way. He wasn't built that way from conditioning, is what you're saying.
Correct.
I think that they were trying to say that Taskmaster, like his daughter or whatever, was conditioned. Or did they have like a chip in them?
They had a chip in her little headset that allowed her to record someone's thing and then do the same thing. So it wasn't a natural ability.
Oh.
So they kind of ruined the whole...
I know this was a while ago that movie came out, so it's like kind of spotty in my memory.
No, it wasn't the same as to me, that's a fake Taskmaster.
And I'm not even sure why they did it that way.
It didn't make any sense. Like, there are plenty of, like, villains they could have used. And if they would have kept him as him and had Black Widow beat him, that would have been just fine.
But the only issue is that they didn't even have Black Widow hardly even fight her.
I know.
I don't even know if she did fight her. I know Red Guardian fought her.
She fought at the very end, but it was like
But it wasn't like those huge
fight.
all-out fights,
Yeah.
like most Avengers superhero movies do. For like, I'm gonna pull this card. I'm just gonna say, like, to have the like one of the strongest in the MCU like female characters, right, or biggest. Why don't we put it that way? And she didn't even get like her own real crazy ending battle scene, like you know, like Captain America might get, or Iron Man, or any of them. Let's just be honest, any of them.
Yeah.
I did really, really enjoy the character of her sister. I thought that she was fun. I love Florence Pugh. She stole the show.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Like, I feel like when people think of the Black Widow movie, is that just me? Is it just because I'm obsessed with that actress? But, like, I think that a lot of people probably, you know, she kind of stole the show. And, which is okay, because she was really cool, and I really liked their dynamic and such. I just would have loved to see, like, more Black Widow specific, I guess. And I really just would have liked to see Black Widow have her, like, battle, her fight, you know?
I wish they would have done it before the end, before we knew of her fate.
It makes no sense why she did not get her own movie when all the other Avengers did. Well, I guess Hawkeye didn't. So Hawkeye and Black Widow, they were both kind of like screwed over in that situation.
Yeah,
they didn't get their own movies like everyone else
They
did.
treated them because of they were the non-powered ones. It's pretty much how it was. They said, "Oh, you don't have powers. Let's throw you to the side."
They sure liked using Scarlett Johansson as what do you call that? Advertising.
Oh yeah, they used their
Sure did like to advertise her.
But they sure
A
didn't want
woman.
Yeah, the only one.
Yeah, like, they like to do that, but let's not go all out on the movie.
Yeah, and it was this.
And wait, so what happened? Didn't they fire her for like a day too?
Yeah, for a little bit she got fired for a little bit because she didn't agree with how she was getting compensated.
Because wasn't she not compensated for the
Disney Plus
Disney
sales?
Plus release?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of getting all her funds from that, she didn't get much from Disney Plus stuff, and she's like, whoa, that don't seem right. And she was right. That wasn't right.
Well, I know a lot of people made the excuse, right, because they love to make excuses. A lot of people made an excuse that, well, her contract didn't say anything about streaming,
Which that's not,
money from streaming, but...
I guarantee you, if that would have happened to Robert Downey Jr., he would have been like, whoa, what's going on? Because streaming wasn't a thing whenever her contract was.
So my argument to that is, at a regular time, yeah, like, that I would kind of be like, well, you didn't mention that, you know, like, streaming isn't that huge and everything. But at that point, the world had gotten so crazy, and, like, the theater releases were still kind of minimal, and not, like, all of the states were open yet and whatnot, and so most people had moved over to streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of like unprecedented. It wasn't like, that wasn't something that at the beginning of making that movie that she would really think about, like, that they would think about.
That anybody would have.
So they kind of took advantage of it.
Yes.
And then wasn't it that they told her something that they were gonna have just a theater release, and then they backed out on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a release on Disney Plus, and then they said that they had to because of COVID, and then Shang-Chi released to theater only.
Yeah.
Right after that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that was completely unfair.
Yeah, it was very unfair.
I know that's old news bears, but...
Yeah, it was very unfair, and I understand her, like, not liking that. Like, any other actor from the Avengers or any other would have voiced the same issue.
Yeah, and probably not gotten as much...
as much hate on it.
As much hate for it, for sure.
But yeah, the character of Taskmaster was ruined, I feel. Totally ruined the character. He's he's a main villain. And they made her a secondary villain, and not a good villain, a controlled villain, someone controlling her. And Taskmaster is not someone who gets controlled. He's the one who's doing the controlling, the manipulating, and they ruined the characters. It's kind of like how they, in my opinion, kind of ruined Bane in a way, is making him be controlled by Talia. And no one controls Bane in the comics.
So when did that movie come out? Dark Knight Rises.
Was it 13?
Do I get to use the... No, 12. Do I get to use the excuse that I was young and dumb when it came out and I never really formed a lot of thoughts? Do I get to use that excuse?
I guess you could.
If I was 20 years old and it happened, can I use that excuse? Okay, so I'm going to use that excuse on myself and say I was just so enamored by the idea of the Batman movie and just loving Batman in general that, like, I never stopped to think, like, is this completely well done? I'm gonna have to, because I know that those movies were great. Mm-hmm. They were phenomenal.
They were fun movies.
I just loved everything about them. I want to go back and I would love to rewatch them with you and form, like, new opinions, like, as an older adult now. You know, do you ever do that? Do you ever enjoy doing that? Like, rewatching something that you haven't watched for 10 years and seeing how you feel about it now versus how you felt about it back when you were at a different point in your life?
Mm-hmm. I like to do that a lot with some of the old shows and movies, especially the old X-Men cartoon.
So I'm going to throw it out there. One of the things that I recently did that with was Glee, the TV show. Mm-hmm. When I was younger and watching it whenever it was first coming out, like, I was super obsessed, and I still love it. But all of the characters pretty much that I loved before, I now can't stand, and the characters that I used to hate when I was a teenager, I really like now. I never understood the obsession with Sue Sylvester, like the Cheerio coach and become principal.
Yes.
I never understood that. I thought, she is so mean, she is so terrible. But now as an adult, I'm like, oh, she is hilarious, and I totally get where she's coming from.
She's the best character. I thought she was hilarious.
She is really funny.
The most wonderful character.
Jane
and I thought
Lynch
that
is great.
teacher was terrible. I didn't
Will,
like the
she's your...
teacher.
Okay, I'm gonna take that back and say I didn't like him before, and I still don't like him.
Yeah,
I don't like Will Sheehan.
yeah, I thought he was a jerk, and he was not a. He's like a kiddie, like he had like a kid mentality sometimes the way he treated the kids. He wasn't like a teacher in my opinion. He like he had mood swings like he was a teenager.
He did. He totally did. You're right.
So he always tried to act like he was always taking the high road. He wasn't taking no road, but the low down dirty road.
Now his wife was crazy though, like faking that
she
pregnancy
was not right.
and everything.
Oh yeah, that
like,
was. That
I
was
never
sick.
like as a teenager, like you think, oh that's weird, but you don't like understand the actual depth of that.
Yeah, that was terrible.
But yeah, so with The Dark Knight, I would love to rewatch those and like see where I stand with them now versus how I did when I was
Younger,
20 years old watching them.
Maybe you should rewatch the Spider-Man.
Like 17. Oh, you mean the Tobey Maguire one?
Yeah.
That was the first superhero movie I ever saw. He was my favorite superhero. He was the only superhero I knew, though, so... Of course he was my favorite. He was the only one.
And then Batman.
Who was your favorite superhero?
When I was
First.
younger?
First favorite superhero.
First favorite
Godzilla
superhero?
doesn't count.
Okay, and if Godzilla doesn't count, it's the X-Men.
Which one?
First it was Wolverine. Wolverine was like, no one could beat Wolverine. Wolverine could beat Superman. You know, that's how ridiculous I was. It's like,
Oh, you thought so.
oh, I thought so. I thought that Superman be so fast and so flying around him, then Wolverine to stick his claws out and then cut Superman's head off. I know that's really violent, but I thought his claws could cut anything, even
Superman's body.
Even Superman body. I later on found out that was silly. I mean, his claws could cut Superman, but Wolverine just doesn't have the strength to do it. Is what I believe now. And he's surely not fast enough to do it. And Superman just has to use his heat vision on his body and just annihilate his skin and everything, and he'd just be dead. But he'll regenerate, but he's still, like, there's no way that, you know, Wolverine can beat Superman. Just like Wolverine can't beat Thor. I'm sorry, folks, Wolverine can't beat Thor.
In your mind, don't you kind of feel like Thor is the strongest superhero?
I do. I think that Thor is one of the strongest superhero. Not the strongest, but one of the strongest. And I don't think that Superman could just beat Thor. I don't think that that's a possibility based off of the comics. Like, I know Superman has all these wonderful feats. He did this and that and the other. Thor also has all these feats that he did some really amazing, incredible things. And one of his powers that he has the ability to drain people of of energy. He could drain energy out of people. And what is Superman's main power? He gets his power from the sun. Thor has the ability to drain that out of his body. I was like, why doesn't he just drain all his energy out of his body and just, you know, leave him as a normal looking human? Clark Kent from Smallville and then hit him upside the head with his hammer. He's dead.
Well, I don't think he should do that.
I know he shouldn't do that. I'm just saying. Like,
that he could.
That he could do
if
that.
he wanted to.
If he wanted to do that.
If he needed to.
Yes, if he needed to, he could do that. Just like Silver Surfer can beat Hulk. I know people are like, no, Hulk is stronger than Silver Surfer. Don't think Silver Surfer needs to do is drain the Hulk of all his energy. He turned into Bruce Banner, then blast his head off.
That is so violent. Why do you always gotta go for the head? Oh my gosh.
You always go for the head. That's what we learned from Infinity. Infinity, go for the head. If Thor would have went for the head, Thanos been dead.
Really?
Yeah.
I apparently need to rewatch that too because there's a lot I forget. Sometimes movies just go in one ear and out the other for me. Like, the only thing, I know I already told you this, but the only thing I remember from Age of Ultron is the woodcutting scene. I'm sorry, but it's true. I never know which movie it's from.
She doesn't even
At
really
first I
remember
thought it might be
Ultron.
Civil War. I think I kind of remember what Ultron looks like mostly from WandaVision. I think that they showed him, but I don't. So, and in Age of Ultron, I know that there were some like sweet moments between Hulk and Black Widow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But other than that, wood chopping scene. Didn't something happen to Hawkeye's family in that one?
No, his family was just fine. We just found out that he had a family.
Oh.
We didn't know he had a family before we find out that he's actually a family man. Everybody's like, oh, he got a family. Which is totally different
So
from
they
the comics.
didn't know?
No.
Was he a family man?
In the comics, no.
Oh, why'd they make him a family man?
I don't know why they decided to do
Because
that.
Jeremy Renner is a family man? And they're like, hey, we like the idea of a family man.
Yeah, they said we might as well have a family man.
Well, you know what? I think that was kind of important to have an Avenger that wasn't just like a single bachelor.
That didn't have any.
Or like no family, you know.
You know what? To
There
tell the
wasn't
truth,
any other superhero with a family.
There's not any. How many superheroes do you know have families? Like actual families? Other than like the Fantastic Four or maybe a few in.
Well, Wanda kind of made her own.
Yeah, make-believe family. I mean, they turned out to be kind of real, but yeah. Even in the comics, she made up her family too.
Better than nothing, I guess.
Because how can you have a family with a
Who
robot?
else does? What other superheroes have families? Because I'm even trying to think, like, in the boys.
Like, you think of, like, even DC, you look at the DC Comics, how many people actually have family? I guess you can consider Shazam and his adopted family.
Well, no, I'm talking, like, spouses and kids.
Silence. I don't know. I can't even really think of it. I can't think of it at all. No, I can't really think of anyone that actually has a family other than the Fantastic Four. And that's Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman have, later on, have 2 kids.
Oh.
And that's the only one I can really think of. That's not a broken family.
Ah! Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was just concentrating really hard on that gameplay.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second, y'all. Okay, I was checking my sound levels because I think that the game is a little on the loud side. I meant to turn that down whenever we started chatting. There we go. That's going to be much better. Okay. Okay, so we were talking about families. Yeah, there's no such thing in superhero movies, apparently.
Yeah, they may have a wife, but normally
Or
you don't
partner.
see or a partner, but you never really see like kids.
Iron Man had a baby.
Yeah, that was later on, and
Oh, yeah, that was whenever he turned his back on everybody else.
I know, but let me turn my back on everybody and have a child, which is kind of weird because in the
But, you
comics he's
know,
never had a child. But
It is kind of realistic, though. Just like in real life, there are certain career paths that kind of hinder people more from, like, where their lives are just a lot more on their career as opposed to, like, being family-oriented.
mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought that was an enemy. And I think that, like, a superhero would make sense, right?
Yeah, and if you think about the Avengers, which one of them can actually have a family? Like, tell the truth, Captain America just woke up out of an ice box and just got thrown into the world. He didn't even know how to hardly use a microwave, barely.
Oh, you know who has a child now?
Who?
Thor.
Oh yeah, which you know that was adopted.
Still, same thing.
Yeah, still, yeah. But originally, you know, how much time would he have with all the wars that he's going
That's
through?
what I mean. It's just like other careers that like take up a lot of your life.
And then, you know, like Bruce Banner, how can he have a child? He's too busy running from the government and turning into a rage monster. He'd be a a terrible person, a terrible father. He would teach his kid to be rageful.
Probably.
And you have a kid, and he's just gonna be. Just think of a little baby getting angry and changing into like a Hulk baby.
Oh my gosh, a Hulk baby.
That would be terrible for the world.
That would be really scary. Imagine you're like babysitting Hulk baby.
Yeah. If he's gonna use a normal person as a babysitter, he needs to go to prison. He needs to hire somebody with superpowers, like super strength or super meditation to make him go to sleep, you know? Put the baby to sleep.
Oh my lord.
I mean, not to sleep, but you know, baby sleep.
So what other things do you have to say about, is there anything else weighing on this mind of yours about superheroes?
I think
entertainment.
I think I've said all I want to say. Invincible, I like that. I know you don't like Invincible, but
I don't even want to talk about it.
I'm really getting into that, but yeah. That's a fun show to me.
A funny show?
Fun.
Oh, I thought you said funny, and I was going to say, look now. We're going to have a problem here.
There's nothing funny about Invincible.
I've already said this on our podcast before, but there's something about graphic animation that I don't like. I can watch any Saw movie. I can watch anything. I can watch Terrifier, Saw, The Boys, like anything. Like graphicness does not bother me, but as soon as it's animated, I don't understand why. Like, Invincible was, Moral Oral, don't even get me started. I can't. You know, I did used to watch Metalocalypse. Like, I like Metalocalypse because of the, like, music and the whole, like, metal thing, but the graphicness of it still really bothers me. It's just there was enough about that show to make me keep watching it. Whereas, like, Invincible, Moral Oral.
Invincible's in the same category as Moral Oral.
I know it shouldn't be. One is claymation, right?
Yeah.
But still.
It was weird. It was a...
Did you watch it? Did you watch Moral Oral?
I saw some of it, but it was a little bit too much for me.
Please don't tell me that you were like an avid Moral Oral.
No. Remember that little documentary we saw regarding Moral Oral? That's where I got most of it from. I thought Moral Oral was weird. And it wasn't one of the shows I would watch.
I remember I was young, watching Metalocalypse, and Moral Oral came on afterwards. And I was shocked to my core. I felt that this was still back whenever, like, I was heavily, like, into the religion, shall we say. And, you know, a little on the sheltered side, so it made me sick to my stomach when I saw Moral Oral.
That was the devil.
It was the devil. I really did. I had nightmares. I couldn't go to sleep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was bad.
That was real. Why'd you watch the whole episode?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I only watched a few minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, and that was enough to make me like, oh my gosh.
It was that sinful. Moral Oral was not very moral.
No. It was like kind of a sickening show, but
yeah.
And even like, yeah, watching that little documentary about it didn't help. You know, you know, like how you're like, oh, I used to think this was so awful, and then you watch it now and you're like, it really isn't that bad. But that
was really still
it really
awful.
Was that bad.
Because it got really depressing from what the one who did the documentary said, that it got so depressing
it went farther down the rabbit hole
that they decided to take it off the air because they said it was too depressing.
Right.
So,
too dark.
Too dark for
too much
for Adult Swim, which is kind of crazy.
Human Centipede level dark.
Oh, I don't know about that. They probably would have went there if they would allow them to.
We're not here to talk about the Human Centipede.
No.
That just took a really, really dark turn.
I'm glad I never saw that. So.
You didn't ever see any of it? Dang, I watched all 3. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how. At least I can say that I've never rewatched them.
Once is enough.
This golden gun person keeps getting me. Have you noticed?
Oh.
I'm really not contributing at all. See? There he goes again.
I think it's because you're distracted with talking to me.
Yeah, but that doesn't always cause, like, me to be terrible at gaming. Sometimes it does, I guess. But... So, Ant-Man and the Wasp is the one that's out right now.
Yes.
Came out this weekend. What's the next one? What's next up? Do you know? Are we aware?
In Marvel or DC?
Marvel. Ew, DC is the Flash.
Yeah,
I'm not
going to support that movie.
Standing by that, no.
I'm not seeing that movie.
I can't.
I barely...
I can't look at Ezra Miller's face.
Yeah, after all of that came out about what's going on with that and how... Yeah, I just don't feel comfortable supporting that, and I also just...
I mean, did you really care that much about Flash in the first place?
No, I liked the TV show initially, the first few seasons, and then I thought it got too much.
Oh yeah, there was the TV show.
So after the first 3 seasons or so, it got a little bit too much for me, so I lost interest in that, and I just not interested in the movie. I was more interested in there being as Henry Cavill being the new Superman again. I thought that with Black Adam, that there could have been like a new revival of, a good universe with them, DC universe. But then after that didn't do well, which I thought that Black Adam was a fun movie.
I thought so too.
Like,
I was pleasantly surprised. Then again, I had no expectations going in.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun movie, but it did terrible. I understand, and due to that, they decided to can it, and it had the most possibility of there being Henry Cavill as Superman coming back, and them doing something else with it. But oh well.
Well, one of the biggest fake outs was having, spoiler alert, y'all, if you haven't seen the end of Black Adam, which surely that's all news now, right?
Yeah, it's all over the news, so.
With Superman coming back at the end, that's the biggest fake out I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, and then them announcing later on.
How can they have someone of Henry Cavill's caliber make a cameo appearance, insinuating that they'll have their own movie, or at least be back in the universe, and it's total farce.
Yeah, they totally cut it off a month later.
Why would they ever let them put that in there?
They said that.
It will be interesting to see, not to interrupt you, but it will be interesting to see if, whenever that movie comes to streaming service, if it hasn't already, it would be interesting to know if that scene will still be in the game, in the end credits.
I think it will be, and it is on streaming. It's on HBO
Max.
Yeah, Max right now. So. But yeah. I'm not interested in the Flash movie at all. I have no interest in it. I know some people may be interested in it, may think that it's going to be, it's going to be so action and so awesome.
And we're not here to say, unlike a lot of people, we're not here to say, oh, don't you dare go do that or else you're a terrible person. Don't go see the Flash, you awful monster. No, you can go see it. I personally don't want to, but...
Yeah, I'm not going to put anything into it.
And I definitely am not going to say it's going to be good, because I bet... But you know what? No. Okay. Watch this. I have a prediction. Watch this be the best made, of the new DC movies. Watch it be the best made. Watch it be the best acted.
If it is, then
I eat my words.
But I'm not gonna support it in theaters.
Oh no.
Just like I didn't support another superhero movie in theaters because I didn't agree with it. So.
Oh, Black Panther.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna But yeah, if I'm not liking something or liking what they done with something, I'm not going to support it. And that's how I show that I'm not interested.
But we're also
in
not going to run around and tell other people that they're
Yeah, I'm not going to tell
terrible
people.
humans for
for
liking
watching that or liking that. I'm just going to, based off of my whole
'Cause, you know,
comic book way of being.
How upsetting would that be to be like a major Flash fan?
And then people telling you not to watch it because.
Well, yeah, and then like Ezra Miller being the one that's playing that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I say like it if you want to, but
Yeah, that's like
that would just be kind of.
that would kind of suck. Like, and then seeing that, and I know a lot of people see Ezra Miller, and they're like, "That's not the Flash," and I agree with you. He doesn't look like a Flash to me at all. I would see Flash as more of a, I don't even know how to say it, but like more of a person.
Do you feel like
an older person?
Do you feel like the person that played the Flash in the television show? Do you feel like they were good?
I don't like. Initially, I didn't really think
really.
that they were a good Flash either. They were too young to me. They seemed too young and too like not like a seasoned individual. But I guess they're trying to start him off as like a young Flash or whatever.
That seems to kind of be the case in a lot of things these days, though, is that it feels like these characters are, like, too young. Do you think that's just because we're getting old?
Could be. For some reason, I would feel that the Flash would need to start off at the age of around, late 20s, early 30s, I would see. And that's how... It's not like Spider-Man. You think of Spider-Man, I think of somebody starting out as a teenager.
For sure.
Captain America, I think of somebody who's in the late 20s and 30s starting out.
What about Iron Man?
Iron Man, I would see him
kind of old.
Yeah,
I always felt like he was kind of old looking. That's just me.
And he was. He's like Robert Downey Jr. started to roll at 40. So I would see him like the youngest I see him in his 30s, and up to mid 30s to early 40s is what I would see Iron Man. And Thor, I would see, around it.
I thought that was good casting.
2,000 years old,
I think that they did good casting.
Yeah,
with
they
the
did
Avengers.
do good casting with them.
Warner Brothers seems to struggle with that.
I thought
a little more.
They started off good with like some of the casting, like with Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill, I thought they did okay with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I shouldn't say that. And then Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman. I know they're trying to go with something a little different than what they, the original comic. But still.
Oh, wasn't he like stark white, blondie?
In the comic, yeah, he's blonde. But I thought they did okay with like the casting of him, but Flash just didn't seem right. I'm sorry, Ezra Miller looked like a little twerp. He's this little skinny little thing that does not have any like.
Yes, but I do have something to say about that when it comes to the Flash. Running that much.
Yeah, you would think that he would be, but he would.
Skinny.
But you would also think like most people who are fast runners, you're thinking about long distance runners are skinny. Like sprinters, they got those big old looking things. Look like they could
legs.
Their legs are huge.
He's showing his legs.
Yeah, those big huge legs look like they could kick a mule over. Kick harder than a mule. Yeah, kick harder than a mule. Those mules be like, kicking and stuff. But yeah, a bronco or something like that. They got those huge legs. They're massively strong. So you would at least think that he'd have immensely big legs. He looked like Timmy the Tooth.
I don't know who that is.
Well, he was a tooth with small little legs and little arms. He wasn't winning no races. Timmy the Tooth.
Okay, moving on from that, because I don't, my brain conked out as soon as you said that, because I don't even want to know.
You should look up Timmy the Tooth.
I'm okay. Maybe one of these days. Timmy the Tooth. But yeah, we shall see. I know that. Did you watch the new trailer for that, Flash?
No,
I saw glimpses of it.
I'm so not interested in it that I don't even
Yeah.
watch a trailer.
I
of
get
it.
that.
Like, I'm so disappointed in, like, I don't see any, from what I understand, James Gunn is, like, rebooting the whole thing. I don't see a point to watching the movie, really, unless he's going to keep that character in
Wait.
it, and I'm not sure he will.
So this is not part of James Gunn's situation.
I don't think it is.
So he may be getting rid of that entirely anyway.
Yeah, as soon as it comes out, because they are so far into it, they couldn't cancel the movie. Because the movie is so far into it.
Well, they could have.
They could have,
It
but
takes Warner Brothers forever to release their movies. It's like watching The Sister Wives on TLC. The season is like 2 years behind real time, so we already know what's going on in real time.
yeah.
Those DC movies, it seems like, oh, well, we finished filming this in 2018.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I think by 2028 it should come out.
They had that movie finished before all the, I think mostly through all that controversy and
Same
stuff.
with the Aquaman with the Amber Heard.
Did that second one come out yet?
They don't know when.
Oh, yeah.
Or they said like 2023 or something like that.
Like, what's the purpose? What's the point, man? I mean,
Aquaman is December of this year.
Well, they need to get their money. They're going to try to get their money back, and then I think they're going to can it, because I think that James Gunn's wanting to use him as Lobo.
Oh, I'm going to have to take this call, so I'm going to have to end stream.